Before we get started on the content, spend a minute reflecting back on projects that you have been a part of. Was the project completed on time? Were critical steps missed? Did team members know what tasks they were supposed to complete? Did you have to wait on someone else to complete a task? The night before the project was due, did one person have to complete the project because other people had not done their parts? You might be wondering why we are covering project management in an engineering course. The answer is quite simple. Many engineers work on projects, and sometimes lead them. And as a student at University of Cincinnati, you will be assigned projects in multiple classes. The sooner you learn to manage a project, the more success and less drama you'll have in completing projects. This slide shows a graph with results from global surveys done by the Project Management Institution from 2012 to 2016. The participants included over 2,000 project managers, 192 senior executives, and 282 project management office directors. Starting with the top line, the graph shows that for each of these years, over 30% of the projects did not meet the original goal or business intent. Over 40% of the projects were not completed within the original budget. Close to 50% were not completed on time. Over 50% experienced scope creep, which is when the project started out with certain goals, but as the project progressed the team acquired more goals. Around 30% of the projects failed and were defunded, and around 15% were deemed a total failure. Think about that. This was a survey of project managers. These are people most likely trained, and maybe even certified, in project management. But yet their success is much lower than you would think. As an engineer, you may be in a project management role, and you need some knowledge of at least rudimentary project management. If you are really interested in project management, there are certificate programs offered by the Project Management Institute that might be of value for you. In this class we are covering the bare minimum to help you with your project. Project management from a very high level includes 5 steps: creating a work breakdown structure and workload distribution, developing a precedence network, determining the critical path, and developing a Gantt chart. A work breakdown structure is when you organize the team's work into manageable sections and then create a task list. Work breakdown structure is when you assign tasks to people on the team. Next is a precedence network. Just like it sounds, this is where you put tasks in the order in which they need to be completed. For example, materials need to be ordered before you could make a prototype, and a bill of material is needed before the parts can be purchased, and the prototype needs to be designed before the bill of material can be created. Once the precedence network is done, it can be determined how long the project will take to complete. This is called a critical path, and it is determined using the critical path method. Next, a Gantt chart is created. A Gantt chart is a graphical representation of the tasks needed to complete the project. Each task on the Gantt chart has estimated start and completion date, along with who is responsible for the task. A Gantt chart is the most widely used tool for project management. Let's go through an example of opening of a restaurant. The first step would be the work breakdown structure. Here, you ask, what are the main tasks that need to be done to open a new restaurant? For this example, we are assuming the location has already been decided. As you can see from this graphic, these are high-level tasks. There are multiple tasks that need to be completed to equip the kitchen, such as select kitchen equipment, order kitchen equipment, pay for kitchen equipment, receive kitchen equipment, install kitchen equipment, and test kitchen equipment. The next step would be to break down each of the main tasks into more detailed tasks. At work, it is a good idea to have people from different functional areas involved in this step to make sure items are not missed. Eventually, if you keep breaking down the items, you'll get to a list of detailed tasks that need to be done. Depending on how high level you want to look at, you would use the high level or detailed tasks in your workload distribution, precedence network, critical path method, and Gantt chart. To keep it simple for this presentation, we are going to use the high-level tasks. Looking at the high-level tasks for this project, it is obvious that multiple tasks can be worked on at the same time. The main point of the precedence network is to understand which task needs to be completed before another task can be started. First, list all the tasks, and then assign a letter to each task. Here, the A represents the action hire a chef, B represents hire a manager, etc. Next, place the letter representing the task in the precedent column if the task needs to be completed before the other task can be started. In the example, an A is in the precedence column next to hire kitchen staff, acquire/install kitchen equipment, create menu, create website, and order food. That's because the chef needs to be involved with all of those activities, and you can't do them until the chef is hired. There's a B, representing hire manager, next to hire wait staff. This is because it would be part of the restaurant's manager's job to hire the wait staff. In this slide, the precedence network is shown graphically. You can follow the arrows and realize which tasks need to be completed before another can be started. Once the major tasks are put in order, you can start to gain an understanding of how long the project is going to take. On this diagram, you'll notice an estimated time to complete each task has been added under the task. In this example, time is in weeks, which might not always be the most useful. It has been estimated that it will take 3 weeks to hire a chef, 4 weeks to create a menu, etc. Estimating the amount of time a task takes is not always easy, but you will become better at it with practice. Above each task is the earliest start time, represented as S, and the earliest finish time, represented as F. Since hire a chef is one of the first things that needs to be done, the earliest start time is 0. It is estimated to take 3 weeks to hire a chef, so the earliest finish time is 3 weeks. Looking at this diagram, you'll notice that the earliest start time for the next activity is the same as the earliest finish time of the activity before it. If there is more than one task that takes precedence to the next task, the earliest start date of the next task is the latest earliest finish date of the tasks that need to be completed first. For example, the menu needs to be created and the restaurant needs to be decorated before the website can be started. Since the earliest finish for creating the menu is week 7, and the earliest finish for decorating the restaurant is week 6, the earliest start for developing the website is week 7. This is because both tasks need to be completed before the website development can start. Once all of the earliest starts and earliest finishes are recorded, you can determine what tasks determine the critical path. The easiest way to determine the critical path is to start with the last task. In this case, it is to order food. The earliest start for ordering food was week 11. Next, look at the 3 branches that go into ordering food. Find which task has the finish date that matches the earliest start date for the ordering food, or 11 weeks. It is develop website. Then look at the branches going into developed website to see which has the earliest finish of 7 weeks, which is the earliest start for developing the website. It is create menu. There is only one task that feeds into create menu, and that is hire the chef. You may be wondering why this matters. The benefit of knowing your critical path is you know if it takes extra time to hire a chef, create a menu, or develop a website, the restaurant will not open on time. If it takes 1 week longer to hire a decorator, or to hire the manager, it would not delay the opening of the restaurant. When running a project, understanding your critical path can help you move resources to the tasks that might jeopardize completing a project on time. The Gantt chart is a graphical representation of the project timeline. It is the most widely used project management tool. The format of the Gantt chart can be slightly different depending on what company you're working for, and what software you're using. This example includes the elements necessary for this class, and recommended as a minimum. The list of tasks. The person or people responsible for completing the task. The estimated start date. The estimated end date. And the bars showing the duration of each task. Sometimes you'll see another column that is the percent completed. In this example, the bars have been color-coded to represent the people responsible for completing the task. You can see the precedence of activities in the graphical portion of the Gantt chart. For example, You see that install kitchen equipment doesn't start until after the task of hiring a chef has been completed. This video showed the steps of doing a work breakdown and workload distribution, then placing the tasks in the order of precedence, and then using those tasks to determine the critical path, and finally to use all the information to create a Gantt chart. Hopefully you understand how useful a Gantt chart is. It is important for you to understand how to read them, and how to create them. The Gantt chart helps the entire team know what tasks need to be done, who is taking responsibility for the tasks, and when they are expected to have the task done. Team members can also tell if their task is holding back someone else from starting a task. A Gantt chart isn't something that you just design and then you're done. At each team meeting, the Gantt chart should be reviewed to see if the project is on track. Gantt charts are not static documents. When you first start trying to manage a project, you are not likely to think of all the tasks needed to complete a project. As you work on the project, new tasks will come up and they need to be added to the Gantt chart. Sometimes estimations for how long tasks take are not accurate, and adjustments need to be made. And sometimes resources need to be moved around, and more or different people may need to take responsibility for different tasks. Using these project management tools should increase the probability of success of your project. If you would like to learn more about project management, visit the Project Management Institute website. Thank you for watching this module.